Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a transformation that isn't just theoretical anymore. It's become an operational reality.
It really has.
It's fundamentally redefining who manages your money, who collects your debt, and how financial risk is calculated on a global scale. We are diving into the financial sector, which is, I think it's fair to say, undergoing a complete operational overhaul thanks to artificial intelligence.
Absolutely. AI is no longer just a tool you might use. It's really moved out of the research lab.
Right.
It's become an essential, and I think this is the key word, accountable operating layer across the entire financial ecosystem.
It feels like the most significant inflection point since, the advent of online banking.
I think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Our source stack for this deep dive is built specifically to capture this moment in 2026. We've pulled from cutting-edge industry research on consumer habits and wealth management.
Okay.
We also have strategic reports from firms like PwC and Gartner detailing the rapid scaling of these new AI agents.
And some more hands-on stuff, too.
Yes, and very specific hands-on reviews of the new generation of consumer finance apps and debt management applications. We are tracking a systemic shift from, simple automation to true autonomous action.
So our central mission for you, the learner, is to extract the most critical concepts and the specific, sometimes surprising examples that illustrate this shift. We really need to answer, how is AI changing who manages your money, how you pay your debts?
And what does that actually mean for your financial future?
Exactly. Both in your personal finances and, potentially where you work.
To really get a handle on the velocity of this change, we need to clarify the terms because they are layered. They build on each other.
Okay, let's do it.
Most people are familiar with robo-advisors.
The digital platforms, the vanguards and betterments of the world.
Right, the digital financial intermediaries.
Yeah.
Now, underneath that, the engine is machine learning, or ML. That's what analyzes patterns in these massive data sets.
Then you have the conversational layer.
That's generative AI, or Gen AI. It handles the conversation, the content creation, the part you talk to.
But the real shift, the thing you said is making AI accountable, is something else.
It is. It's the game changer. Agentic AI. This is a key. An agentic AI doesn't just suggest an action. It doesn't just say, you should do this.
It doesn't.
It executes decisions. It triggers real-world transactions or compliance actions autonomously, operating within, of course, predefined and very rigorously tested guardrails.
That structural shift from suggestion to execution, that is what we need to unpack.
Yeah.
So let's start with the area where AI has had a presence for, a decade now, but is now taking a massive, sophisticated leap. Let's talk about wealth management.
Okay, so the core transformation in wealth management, or WM, is this radical reshaping of how advice, portfolio management, and client services are actually delivered.
And the drivers are what I'd expect, right?
Yeah.
Efficiency, cost, personalization.
Those are the big three. The previous model relied so heavily on the individual advisor's time, their expertise, their relationships.
And that model was structurally limited. It couldn't scale.
Exactly. That limitation was always about costs and access, wasn't it?
For sure. If you weren't an accredited investor or didn't have, a few $100,000 in assets, professional guidance was often completely out of reach.
It was a luxury product.
It was.
And that's precisely where this concept of the democratization of access comes in. AI-powered platforms are solving that scalability problem.
How so?
They can provide sophisticated, data-driven, and very cost-effective investment guidance to retail and, importantly, underserved investors who are traditionally just shut out from these high-end services.
So it's not just about offering cheaper advice.
No, it's about offering professional-grade portfolio management and risk assessment at a cost structure that just makes sense for everyone, not just the wealthy.
So if I'm a small investor, I can now get access to the same type of, sophisticated portfolio optimization and real-time risk scoring that used to be reserved for institutional clients.
But you get it through a digital platform.
Right. And the sophistication of that platform, though, it relies on all those different AI tools working together. Let's look at how those different AI layers contribute, starting with the workhorse, machine learning.
Machine learning is really the foundation for performance. It's what allows these platforms to ingest, to process, and to make sense of these massive, complex data sets.
You're talking market data, economic indicators.
Geopolitical signals, you name it, all in real time. This is crucial for several advanced functions.
Like what?
Like developing highly nuanced risk scoring models, or spotting investment patterns that would be completely invisible to human analysis.
And of course, portfolio optimization.
and driving sophisticated portfolio optimization. But the critical insight here is that ML-driven strategies are adaptive. They're not static.
So they're moving past those rigid, rule-based models of the early robo-advisors.
Exactly. They constantly adjust based on real-time market volatility.
Okay, so ML is focused on optimization and accurate prediction. It handles the quantitative side. But we keep hearing so much about generative AI. How does Gen AI, which is so good at creating text and content, fit into wealth management?
Gen AI's value proposition is all on the front end. It's about the user experience, the communication, and the client engagement. It's the conversational engine.
The thing you talk to.
The thing you talk to. We are seeing it used for very sophisticated conversational interfaces, essentially next-generation financial chatbots. But maybe more importantly, it generates personalized, real-time materials.
What kind of materials?
Bespoke financial reports, intuitive dashboards, or even narrative summaries that translate all that complex algorithmic data into digestible, human-readable language.
So it's a translator.
It bridges the gap between the complex ML analysis and the client's understanding, which, significantly enhances transparency and engagement.
And finally, that third piece, predictive analytics. It sounds like the core risk manager that underpins all the trading functions.
Absolutely. Predictive analytics is what leverages that massive process data pool to enable real-time market analysis.
Which is crucial for trade execution.
And for strategic risk mitigation. It's also foundational for compliance and security.
For example,
think real-time fraud detection or behavioral profiling to flag anomalous trading patterns or even potential insider risks. All these technologies together create a system that is just infinitely more adaptable, faster, and more scalable than the traditional human advisor.
Okay, so this brings us to the perennial question. Will the human advisor be replaced? I mean, if AI can manage optimization, risk, and communication, what is left for the person sitting across the desk from me?
It's the big question.
Let's start with the pure objective advantages of the AI advisor.
Well, the efficiency benefits are just massive. You get 24/7 service availability. Advisory fees drop dramatically compared to traditional human-only models.
And the decision-making is more rational.
It's purely data-driven. It processes complex data sets objectively and rapidly. But the most significant advantage, which our sources consistently highlight, is the elimination of behavioral bias.
And that is the core difference maker in performance, isn't it?
It really is.
Every financial history book is filled with stories of investors panicking and selling when the market is crashing, locking in their losses.
Or chasing returns on a hot stock after the peak is already passed.
Exactly. That inherent human emotionality, that cognitive bias, it's fear and greed. And that's precisely what the machine eliminates by just sticking to a consistent rules-based strategy.
It creates discipline where humans often fail. And AI doesn't panic, it just executes.
So if AI is so superior in objectivity and calculation, why isn't the consensus the immediate replacement of humans?
The reason is what our sources call the irreplaceable human strength. These strengths are in areas that AI currently just cannot fully replicate.
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, empathy, and probably most importantly, trust building.
And trust becomes absolutely vital exactly when the market is most uncertain.
That's the moment.
If the platform tells me to hold steady during a 30% drawdown, I need a person to contextualize that advice. I need them to address my genuine fear of losing my retirement savings. The human is the anchor in the storm.
Exactly. And beyond that emotional aspect, there's just the sheer complexity of bespoke financial needs. We're talking about highly personalized financial coaching, tax optimization, estate management.
Things that are messy and human.
It's deeply intertwined with complex family structures, regulatory environments, and multi-jurisdictional tax implications.
The sources mention tools like wealth.com. Can you elaborate on how those platforms use AI in those complex human-centric areas?
Wealth.com is a fantastic illustration of this hybrid model. Their AI analyzes the complex family structure and all the resulting tax implications across multiple assets. It's essentially running these incredibly sophisticated optimization scenarios instantly.
So it's calculating the mathematically perfect allocation and withdrawal strategy.
Correct. However, the human advisor is still required to navigate the political or emotional family dynamics.
The stuff the algorithm can't see.
Right. They have to communicate the plan and ensure the client actually understands the trade-offs and the risks involved. The AI handles the analysis, calculating the right answer, but the human advisor retains the empathy and the judgment needed to deliver that answer during times of fear or significant life change.
That distinction analysis versus empathy and judgment, it seems to define the future. So what is the market consensus for the typical American investor? Is it one or the other?
The consensus strongly indicates that the future of wealth management will be defined by hybrid advisory ecosystems.
They're not a zero-sum competition.
No, it's a synergistic partnership. Surveys show that most Americans actually prefer a human advisor who also uses AI.
They want the best of both worlds.
They want the speed, the efficiency, and the objectivity of algorithms, but combined with the judgment, the accountability, and the emotional connection of a person. AI handles the heavy, repetitive calculations and the monitoring.
And the human focuses on the high-value strategic decision-making and relationship management.
Exactly. It significantly elevates the role of the human advisor from just being a data gatherer to being a true strategic consultant.
So it sounds like the value proposition of a human advisor is now almost entirely defined by their ability to manage human beings and complex strategic nuance. They just outsource the calculation to the machine. That sets a pretty high bar for future financial professionals.
A very high bar.
We've seen how AI is revolutionizing the management of billions on Wall Street. But what's fascinating is how the exact same technological principles are being applied to win the war against human willpower in our own checking accounts. Let's pivot to the everyday consumer finance applications. The apps in your pocket designed to manage your money, often without you even realizing it. Hashtag tag 2.1. The rise of budgeting bots and personalized savings.
This is perhaps the most immediate, tangible impact for the average listener. AI finance apps succeed where traditional budgeting fails because they effectively remove the willpower equation.
What do you mean by that?
Well, traditional budgeting requires you to set a rigid plan and then adhere to strict manual discipline. And when people fail, which they often do, they just give up entirely.
Right.
AI flips this. It automatically implements saving strategies that are tailored to how the user actually lives. It adapts to their cash flow rather than requiring the user to adapt to some unrealistic budget.
That shift from prescriptive to adaptive is so key. Instead of telling me what I should spend, the app just watches what I do spend and finds money I didn't even know I had. And the data shows these tools aren't just abstract ideas, they offer measurable financial benefits.
They absolutely do. Research indicates that popular AI tools like Cleo and Rocket Money can save users an estimated average of $80 to $500 annually.
Which is not insignificant.
And when you consider that the vast majority of people were previously getting zero professional financial guidance, these apps are an incredibly accessible, low-cost alternative. They are democratizing savings just as robo-advisors democratize investing.
Let's look at some specific examples because they show the variety of approaches. Start with Rocket Money. What is their core specialization?
Rocket Money focuses on that passive income drain, subscription management.
The subscription creep.
Exactly. It uses deep learning models to analyze your transaction history, and it pinpoints recurring expenses, especially those forgotten, unwanted, or unused subscriptions.
Like that free trial for a streaming service you signed up for a year ago and forgot to cancel.
Precisely. Rocket Money flags it. But it goes further. It automatically helps the user cancel those services or, in many cases, will negotiate recurring bills like your internet or cable bill down on your behalf.
Wait. They actually negotiate bills for you?
They do. They have algorithms and human representatives working together, that hybrid model again, to contact providers on your behalf.
That's amazing.
It's pure passive savings. You might pay a small fee for the service, but the platform pays for itself almost immediately by just stopping those financial leaks.
That is the epitome of removing willpower. You don't have to face the hassle of calling customer service and waiting on hold. Now, Cleo takes a very different conversational approach.
Cleo is a fascinating example of using generative AI for highly personalized behavioral interaction. The source material describes it as treating savings like a conversation, not a punishment.
I like that.
It uses a cheeky conversational AI chatbot to analyze your actual cash flow and spending patterns. So a user can ask in natural language, can I afford this new jacket? Or what if I take this trip?
And the AI gives a real-time assessment based on their current financial health.
Exactly.
But their autosave feature is the real behavioral insight, isn't it?
It is. Cleo's autosave sets aside small, randomized amounts that the user genuinely won't miss. It's not forcing a large, arbitrary monthly transfer.
Makes savings almost painless.
Almost invisible. And they gamify the process through what they call spending fines.
Okay, how does that work?
For example, you can program the app to automatically save $5 every time you go to Starbucks or order takeout.
Huh, that's clever.
It creates a direct, automated behavioral feedback loop. It penalizes the habit just enough to encourage savings without feeling punitive.
It turns savings from a chore into a highly personalized, automated, almost subconscious process. And for users who want something that covers their entire financial picture, what are the emerging all-in-one platforms offering?
So the goal here is consolidation and comprehensive insight. Platforms like Monarch Money and Origin, they aim to be the singular hub for tracking your net worth, your spending, and your goals. Monarch uses AI-driven insight to summarize your financial health and trajectory.
And Origin.
Origin goes a significant step further by bridging pure AI analysis. They have an assistant named Sidekick with access to actual certified financial planners or CFPs when the user needs complex human advice.
There's that hybrid model again.
It's echoing that hybrid model we discussed earlier, but now at the mass consumer level. The trend is clear. Automate all the transactional work and provide human insight for the high-stakes, complex moments in your life. Hashtag 2.2, algorithmic debt repayment and optimization.
This expansion of AI is certainly not limited to budgeting and saving. It's also profoundly changing the approach to debt repayment. We're moving way beyond those static debt calculators where you input your balance and interest rate once and then, manually follow a printout.
Absolutely. We now have consumer-facing debt bots like Bright and Achieve Good, which use AI to build customized, actionable repayment plans that constantly adjust.
And who are these tools for?
They're designed specifically for consumers who have complex debt loads, multiple credit cards, student loans, personal loans, and they have the income to cover them, but they just lack the time or the expertise to efficiently manage the confusing array of interest rates and payment schedules.
The autonomy is crucial here. How does a tool like Bright's AI Debt Manager go beyond mere calculation to actually managing the money for the user?
Bright moves the user into a truly agentic experience. Its core feature is an auto-pay function that operates completely behind the scenes. It receives money from the user, and then it distributes it to the creditors.
And it decides where the money goes.
The AI constantly monitors the user's overall financial stability and determines the most mathematically efficient order to pay down debts.
So either the avalanche method, highest interest first, or the snowball method.
Right, depending on the user's preference and their psychological needs. It then executes those payments automatically, ensuring the maximum amount goes toward high-interest principal while all the minimums are met elsewhere. It entirely removes the manual effort and the potential for error from the process.
That is genuinely impressive. An invisible agent managing your liabilities to maximize your financial health. On the investing side, algorithmic automation is also taking over the perennial headache of year-end tax optimization, particularly with tax loss harvesting, or TLH.
TLH is a textbook example of a mathematically defined optimization strategy that AI performs flawlessly. Investment tools like Wealthfront automate continuous tax loss harvesting all year round. Traditionally, TLH involved human advisors or investors manually reviewing portfolios in a frantic December rush, trying to sell depressed assets to offset capital gains.
And it was super inefficient.
And prone to human error, particularly missing opportunities throughout the year.
So what is the benefit of automating this 365 days a year?
The benefit is maximizing continuous tax efficiency. Automation identifies harvesting windows whenever market conditions are optimal. It doesn't wait for December.
It's always watching.
Always. It identifies losses, it realizes them to create tax savings, and then it immediately reinvests that cash into a substantially similar asset, not the same one, to avoid the wash sale rule, and thereby maintains the portfolio's market exposure.
The key insight being?
The key insight is that by automating this, the tax savings are realized earlier and continuously reinvested, which effectively increases the compounding power over time. The machine ensures the process is seamless, continuous, and fully compliant, achieving an optimization that is, frankly, virtually impossible for a human to maintain.
It's clear that AI's role is expanding well beyond traditional banking and investing. It's bleeding into adjacent cost-saving activities. We're seeing this in travel and daily transit, too.
The specialization is pervasive because the core function of AI is prediction. Take Hopper, the travel app. It uses machine learning trained on billions of data points to predict optimal flight and hotel booking times.
Yeah, that's accurate.
It's claimed 95% accuracy means users who follow its recommendations can see 20 to 40% savings compared to just booking at random times. It removes that stressful guesswork of, should I book now or should I wait?
And even Waze, which so many of us use every day for navigation, is applying AI to financial savings in a micro way.
That's right. Waze uses AI not just for the fastest route, but for route optimization aimed at fuel efficiency.
How does it do that?
It analyzes traffic and user-generated data to minimize idle time, those minutes you spend just sitting at a red light or in gridlock. It also identifies and suggests the cheapest nearby gas stations.
And this actually adds up.
This optimized routing can reduce fuel consumption by a measurable 10 to 15% compared to standard navigation that only focuses on the shortest time. So AI is truly saving us money in the micro decisions we make every single day.
We've covered personal finance, but now we need to look at the enterprise. The shift we're about to discuss, the move to agentic AI, is tectonic. It's what's happening inside major financial institutions and Fortune 500 companies right now.
It is. This is a structural reset. We're moving from simple robotic process automation to intelligent, outcome-driven systems. Hashtag 3.1. The structural reset of work via agentic AI. That structural reset is the defining trend for 2026 enterprise strategy. For years, companies have been experimenting with AI. Now they are moving away from merely testing agents to allowing them to run entire end-to-end workflows.
So not just one piece of the puzzle.
Not at all. They're executing real-world decisions and triggering actions in core systems. This is the shift from step-based automation, where AI handles one segment of a long process, to outcome-driven systems where the agent owns the end-to-end goal.
Whether that goal is clearing an invoice or approving a loan. So instead of using AI to make step 4 of a process slightly faster, the goal now is to eliminate steps 1 through 7 entirely. PwC's guidance on this is quite strong. Don't just optimize, fundamentally rethink the entire process.
Absolutely. PwC explicitly advises organizations not to just incrementally cut steps, but to rethink the workflow with an AI-first mindset. The goal is wholesale transformation, where a traditional 7-step process might collapse into a single action executed by an agent.
And so leadership must be highly strategic about where to apply this.
Very strategic. Picking high-value areas for these deep AI investments, think demand sensing, hyper-personalization, or core back-office functions like finance, HR, and IT. The organizations that win are those that integrate, oversee, and measure these agents as if they were accountable members of the staff.
And we have a perfect massive-scale, real-world example of this agentic transformation, the Lloyds Banking Group in the UK. This isn't some small pilot project. This is a full-scale deployment.
Yeah. The Lloyds Banking Group case is a pivotal moment because it shows agentic AI moving into a customer-facing, high-volume environment. They are deploying a large-scale, multi-feature AI-powered financial assistant for their 21 million mobile customers.
And that's launching soon.
Scheduled for an early 2026 launch. And crucially, this is not just a standard FAQ chatbot. This solution leverages true agentic AI to decompose complex customer requests.
Okay, decompose request. Break that down for us.
It means it understands a complex question, it plans the necessary actions to answer it, and then it executes the tasks. It often will generate its own code to query transaction databases or initiate transfers.
Can you give us a concrete example of how this agent differs from existing mobile banking interfaces?
Sure. Think about the difference between navigating a series of menus versus natural language interaction.
Right.
Today, you might click through 3 different menus to find out what you spent on groceries last month.
Yeah, that's familiar.
With the Lloyds AI agent, you can just ask, I need to put $500 aside for my trip next month, and how much did I spend on restaurants last quarter, and is there a better way to structure my mortgage payment?
All in one sentence.
All in one go. The agent breaks down that multi-step natural language request, plans the data retrieval, converts that plan into code to query the necessary databases, and then executes the requested transfer and provides the hyper-personalized insight.
So it's like a personal, secure AI agent.
Offering instant and free personalized financial coaching 24/7 embedded directly into your banking experience. Hashtag 3.2, AI-driven lending and debt recovery.
The impact of this automation also extends into the nuts and bolts of finance, specifically lending and debt management. AI is now central to modern loan management software.
Absolutely. Platforms like HES Loanbox and Turnkey Lender demonstrate the twin benefits of speed and risk mitigation. On the origination side, AI automates the loan underwriting process, dramatically reducing the time it takes to move from application to approval, sometimes from weeks to hours or even minutes. More significantly, they use these configurable dynamic decision engines to minimize credit risks and proactively lower default rates through much better initial screening.
And this is where the AI can potentially lead to fair outcomes, particularly for those who don't fit the traditional credit mold.
That's a key development.
Oh,
Alternative data credit scoring. This is vital for thin file or underserved borrowers who might not have sufficient conventional credit data.
so it looks beyond just a FICO score.
Right. AI allows banks and lenders to assess risk based on different behavioral patterns like utility payment history or educational background, providing a much more accurate and complete picture of risk. This expands the lending pool while maintaining or even improving the lender's risk profile.
And at the same time, it handles the compliance side.
Simultaneously, AI automates all the compliance checks, policy enforcement, and document verification, ensuring regulatory adherence at unprecedented speed.
Now, moving past origination, AI is fundamentally changing the accounts receivable process. It's automating debt collection, which is traditionally viewed as a costly, aggressive, and highly manual process for businesses.
It really is. Automated debt collection software, used by providers like HighRadius, Cleo, and Upflow, is transforming accounts receivable, or AR. The core mechanism is intelligence and personalization.
How does that work in practice?
The AI scores the collection risk of specific invoices and debtors. It then prioritizes high-risk accounts using behavioral insights derived from payment history, communication patterns, and even industry trends.
So it's not just a batch email system that blasts everyone with the same message.
No, it's a personalized collection strategy.
It's intelligent.
Correct. The system automates personalized communication emails, SMS, even voice scripts, and it adjusts the tone, the channel, and the timing based on the individual debtor's profile to maximize engagement and response rates,
All while staying within the legal lines.
while adhering strictly to regulatory communication rules. And institutional users are seeing measurable benefits. Higher recovery yields while maintaining compliance and, critically, preserving better customer relationships.
Because the AI avoids that aggressive, one-size-fits-all approach of the past.
It shifts debt recovery from a hostile interaction to a strategic, data-driven workflow. Hashtag tag 3.3, the rise of the AI generalist workforce.
This level of enterprise automation has profound and immediate implications for the human workforce. PwC highlights that AI agents are now taking over specialized, mid-tier tasks that previously defined the jobs of experienced, often expensive employees.
Things like complex invoice processing, detailed purchase order matching, account reconciliation, low-level anomaly detection.
The core of many finance jobs.
This is a structural challenge to the industrial era model of specialization.
Okay.
If an AI agent can reliably execute complex, specialized coding or detailed reconciliation work, the human worker's value is no longer in their specialized task knowledge. Their role has to shift.
So what do they become?
Humans must evolve into AI generalists, or, more accurately, agent orchestrators.
Let's make this specific for our listeners who might currently be specialists in finance or IT. What does the job description of an agent orchestrator actually entail in this new AI-first enterprise?
It's a focus shift from execution to strategy and oversight. The agent orchestrator manages a team of AI agents. Their focus is entirely on high-value strategic activities that AI cannot perform.
This is
Growing revenue streams, negotiating complex vendor terms, designing dynamic pricing models that react to real-time supply chains, and conducting deep, complex scenario planning.
So they're the manager of the AIs.
They oversee the agents, spot and correct systemic mistakes, connect multiple agent workflows into integrated teams, and continually identify new, high-impact tasks for the agents to automate.
This means the human skill set shifts dramatically from technical depth in one specific area to strategic breadth and an understanding of the entire AI ecosystem.
Absolutely. The technical execution is delegated. The necessary human skills now center on agent orchestration, critical oversight, system architecture understanding, and strategy. PwC emphasizes that recruitment needs to look for all-around athletes, people who are open-minded generalists, adept at systems thinking, and capable of managing these autonomous teams.
And this isn't just about hiring new people.
No, it's about massive internal reskilling. The crucial realization is this 80-20 rule. 80% of the value of an AI initiative comes from redesigning the work, redesigning the roles, the incentives, the culture, not just deploying the technology itself.
So if you are a manager, your job is no longer to manage people executing tasks, but to manage people who are managing machines that execute tasks. And the human value is now solely in the strategic context. That is a massive operational change.
Massive.
As AI agents move money, approve loans, and manage compliance, the stakes rise dramatically. We're moving beyond the theoretical risk of a bad recommendation into the sharp reality of potential financial loss, compliance breaches, or just catastrophic operational failure.
Right.
This brings us to the crucial final section. the guardrails that must be built around this burgeoning autonomous technology. Hashtag tag tag 4.1. Governance shifts from ethics to survival.
The conversation around AI governance has undergone a profound psychological and operational shift inside these institutions. Organizations are realizing that simply having conversations about abstract AI ethics is completely insufficient when an autonomous agent just processed 1 million transactions.
It's not a philosophy club anymore.
Not at all. Governance must enforce accountability in real time. The objective is operational survival, ensuring the agents don't bankrupt the firm through unforeseen financial exposure or regulatory penalties.
So it's the difference between asking, is this ethical? And if this system fails, who pays the fine and how do we stop it in the next millisecond?
Precisely. Accountability has to be embedded in the code. The good news is that executives do recognize the practical value of responsible AI, or RAI.
You see the upside.
Surveys show that leadership understands RAI isn't just a regulatory burden, it directly boosts ROI and efficiency, 60% report this, and it improves the customer experience, 55% report this.
But the challenge is making it real.
The challenge lies in operationalizing those principles. It's very difficult to translate broad governance concepts into measurable, embedded processes within these complex, fast-moving agent workflows that might span multiple systems.
And one of the biggest obstacles to achieving that accountability and building trust for both enterprises and consumers is the lack of clarity, the famous black box problem.
Transparency and explainability are absolutely critical, especially in finance. When a complex AI system operates as a black box, meaning we can't definitively trace why it made a specific recommendation, it just erodes stakeholder and client trust.
And can get you in legal trouble.
Right. If a loan application is rejected, the institution has to be able to provide a clear, legally defensible reason. The industry response is the urgent adoption of explainable AI, or XAI.
How are institutions translating XAI into practice? What does it look like?
Institutions like Charles Schwab and Fidelity Investments are using XAI to provide clear rationales and auditable proof points for every single investment recommendation or portfolio move. XAI systems log the specific data points and the model parameters that contributed to a decision.
So it leaves a trail of breadcrumbs.
It ensures that the machine's recommendation isn't arbitrary, it's auditable. And this is vital for regulatory compliance, which often requires a full accounting of why a decision was made regarding a client's funds or their creditworthiness. Hashtag 4.2. Security, privacy, and regulatory convergence.
So if the AI is autonomous in executing actions, traditional security tools, which are designed for static perimeter defense, they seem completely inadequate. Security needs to be fundamentally reinvented for a world where the threat isn't just external hackers, but an internal agent acting outside its programming.
That is the core vulnerability. Enterprises must adopt AI security platforms specifically built to monitor and control agent behavior. These are AI-native defense layers that track exactly what data agents are accessing, the code they're generating, and whether their actions remain strictly within approved boundaries.
So they're like a supervisor for the AIs.
A constant supervisor for the autonomous workforce. These platforms detect unauthorized decisions and abnormal agent activity before financial damage or a data leak occurs.
And this continuous need for monitoring trust is leading to the rapid evolution of security models. The zero trust model is already moving into something more adaptive.
That's right. The concept of zero trust, which mandates that you trust nothing inside or outside the perimeter, is evolving into continuous trust validation, or CTV.
Okay, what's the difference?
CTV is an adaptive, AI-native protector that continuously analyzes behavioral and identity telemetry. It moves security from a static gatekeeper checking your credentials once to an adaptive defense that is constantly verifying who or what can be trusted in the moment based on patterns of activity.
Why is that shift so important now?
Because the risk profile is shifting from malicious external attacks to accidental exposure and misbehavior caused by employees or agents interacting carelessly with vast data sets through all these new SaaS and AI tools.
And at the same time, regulatory pressure is accelerating this change, particularly from Europe, which tends to set the global standard for data and AI regulation.
The EU AI Act becomes fully applicable by August 2, 2026 for most high-risk applications, and that is driving a massive convergence with existing GDPR assessments.
And what does that mean for banks?
It requires financial institutions to implement stronger internal policies for training data provenance, ensuring data accuracy and security, especially for sensitive financial data, and providing provable, meaningful human oversight in all high-risk AI decisions. Our sources note this pressure is creating a ripple effect globally, as new comprehensive state privacy laws are also coming into effect in U.S. states like Kentucky, Rhode Island, and Indiana in 2026, all demanding greater transparency in data use.
Finally, the critical risk that ties into all of this governance is algorithmic bias, which is just non-negotiable in sensitive areas like finance.
This is a major regulatory and reputational risk. Algorithmic bias occurs when models are trained on historical data that contains societal or historical discrimination, say, in mortgage applications or credit extension.
And the AI learns that bias.
It learns it, and then it produces discriminatory results against certain groups. This risk is particularly critical in lending and credit scoring. It necessitates rigorous fairness monitoring, specialized testing, and critical human thinking in the model design phase, as failure here creates both legal vulnerability and a significant erosion of public trust. You can't automate away systemic unfairness without intentionally programming fairness into the system. ### 4.3. Data trends enabling AI.
None of this highly regulated, highly automated AI works without the foundational material, the data. And the way businesses generate, track, and use data is changing just as fast as the AI applications themselves. Let's start with data provenance. What is that?
Data provenance is a requirement of the modern regulated environment. It's the ability to know and prove where information has come from, how it's been used, and its accuracy throughout its entire life cycle. For highly regulated industries like finance, this traceability is essential, especially as data is fragmented and remixed across multiple autonomous AI systems.
So you need an audit trail for the data itself.
You must have it. Organizations have to implement robust tools that log data collection, transformation, and usage events to satisfy new privacy laws and audit requirements. If a regulator asks how an AI made a decision, you must be able to trace every piece of data input back to its source and its consent mechanism.
That seems like a massive, continuous undertaking, especially since banks handle such sensitive personal information. Is there a way for institutions to train their AI models without constantly risking real customer data?
Yes, and this is where generative AI is actually solving a compliance problem. It's called synthetic data. Gartner predicts that by 2026, 75% of businesses will use generative AI to create highly realistic but entirely fake synthetic data.
So it's not real people's information.
Exactly. Instead of using real sensitive personal data from finance or healthcare for model testing and training, the AI generates models that simulate real-world behavior and characteristics. This addresses both major pain points. It resolves privacy concerns because the data contains no PII, and it bypasses the high expense and difficulty of collecting, cleaning, and sanitizing massive amounts of real data.
And lastly, for these agentic AI systems to function effectively, the data feeding them needs to be optimized for autonomy. We're calling this agent-ready data.
Exactly. For agents to execute decisions and workflows, the data has to be real-time, categorized, and available in a suitable, standardized format.
It has to be clean and ready to go.
If the agent needs to initiate a payment, it needs immediate access to a clear, labeled, and verified balance. And a crucial regulatory point here is the requirement for user consent. Because AI agents are managing and acting on behalf of the user, sensitive data managed by these agents must have clear, explicit, and granular user consent attached to it to maintain privacy and compliance standards across different jurisdictions.
The data has to be trustworthy.
And accessible for the agent to be accountable. # #outro.
What a phenomenal and deeply detailed dive into this financial transformation. To quickly synthesize the major operational takeaways, AI is driving massive operational efficiency through true autonomous execution.
It's dramatically democratizing access to professional-grade guidance via these sophisticated robo-advisors.
And it's fundamentally reshaping the workforce, forcing specialists to become agent orchestrators.
But the most profound finding across all our sources is that the future, undeniably, is hybrid.
It always comes back to that.
It does. While agentic AI excels at the analysis processing data, predicting outcomes, and calculating the most mathematically efficient answer, it is inherently incapable of the empathy and complex judgment needed to deliver that answer during times of fear, anxiety, or aspiration.
So the human element is redefined.
As the guardian of strategy and trust.
So whether you are an executive building the next generation of AI teams, or just a consumer trying to leverage a budgeting bot to save that estimated $500 this year, AI agents are now an operational and autonomous reality that will be touching nearly every facet of your financial life.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to consider. We've established that AI security is moving from simply detecting risks to predicting and preventing them using continuous adaptive systems like continuous trust validation.
Right?
So if the machine that manages your portfolio starts collaborating directly with the machine designed to detect financial fraud, how much XAI, how much transparency will you need before you fully trust that machine-to-machine exchange with your money?
And is full transparency even possible?
That's the question.